Okay. So when I receive this invitation, the first thing I need to do is to ask myself, am I eligible to present this talk? I did a quick review of my career history to make sure I passed the scrutiny of myself and others. So I have been working in the hospital authority for more than 30 years, and I have been the E&E Chief of Service for more than 10 years and Deputy XCE, and I'm also the Hospital Authority Central Coordinating Committee Chairman from 2019 until now, and also the Hong Kong College of Emergency Medicine Center in Chief. So I have been assuming certain leadership roles inside and outside HA, and seems that people are quite satisfied with my performance because my terms have been repeatedly extended until it is too much. Now I have to step down from the COS road, and I scored quite high marks for my 360-degree assessments, so I can reassure myself and yourself that I'm okay, eligible to deliver this talk. So in the next 25 to 30 minutes, what am I going to talk about? Rest assured that there is no rocket science and no complicated theories, and it is mainly an experience sharing and a bit on hospital authority leadership with particular reference to emergency physicians, and my personal view on leadership development and attribute. What I want to do is to trigger the audience further thoughts and evaluation on yourself. This is the most important about leadership. So these leadership theories would not be the focus of my talks. You know, these famous guys in teaching management courses, but I am no expert on this, so I will not talk about these leadership theories. And in fact, it takes hours or days to further elaborate any of these theories. My talk is about leadership in hospital authority. To start with, let us look at its major roles and basic structure for the information of non-local audience. HA, other than the civil servant system, is the biggest organization in Hong Kong. It is taking care more than 90% of the inpatient services of Hong Kong, in addition to a lot of day services and outpatient services. So under the leadership of our CE, Dr. Tony Goh, it is divided mainly into clusters, hospital clusters, and the head office. And we have 7 clusters and many divisions inside the head office. And HA, there is more than 65,000 staff, and at this moment, as a EM fellows or trainees, most of us are working in HA. But the majority of us would be working in a particular department of a particular hospital in a particular clusters. So it is just like a sand in a beach, and it is not easy to see the big picture. And for this organization, it is very challenging to make it work effectively to meet the huge and rapidly increasing services demand, and a lot of good leaders are needed in all levels. Interestingly, quite a number of doctors with EM background are working as senior executives in HA. Examples include Dr. K.L. Zhong. He is one of the 3 directors immediately under our CE. He is the director of QNS, and Dr. Simon Tang and Dr. Beatrice Jiang are also have having some A&E background, they are working as the cluster chief executive. And you can see these familiar faces every day. Dr. Larry Lee and Dr. Sarah Ho, they are the chief manager of the head office. And of course, we have some HCEs like Dr. Ian Zhang, Dr. Jenny Lam, and our emergency physicians are talented in many aspects. And say Dr. Joanna Pang is the chief medical informatics officer, and Pok Wen is the chief manager of a cluster. So why this happens, I believe this does not happen just by chance. I will elaborate later. In addition, many A&E consultants are appointed to be deputy HCEs to assist the HCCE or HCEs to manage the hospitals. This list would have been longer if I made this preparation a few months before, as when some senior EM consultant like Dr. Paul Ho was still working as deputy HCE before their retirement. So many deputy HCEs in various hospitals, and Dr. Ada Yu is a chief manager of NTEC. And of course, we need chief of service in every department. As I just mentioned, that emergency physicians taking leadership role in X-ray does not happen by chance. Other than individual efforts and aspiration, the EM training and working environment certainly provided the soil to the leadership development. This is the first page of our training program. So among the 6 core competences of our training program, communication, collaboration, interpersonal skills, organization planning, and management skills are key elements for our training and development. Among these, there are few important characters of EM work and training. As we all experience in our daily working, we have to work and process broad-based knowledge. Though we are developing more and more subspecialty nowadays, all emergency physicians should have a broad-based knowledge, and we also have to be multitasking, and we need to work with people and not only patients. Although jack of all trades may carry negative meaning to some people, and nowadays doctors like to be subspecialized or even super specialized. However, as senior executives, we all need to have a broad-based knowledge, which is certainly advantageous for our leadership development. Promoting to be a consultant would be the ultimate goal of most emergency medicine trainees and fellows working in X-ray. If they are not planning to leave for the private market very soon or change to be full-time executive. There are 4 core competency set for X-ray consultant mentioned in the vacancy notification circular. They are the functional competence, personal competence, people and team competence, and organization effectiveness. And recently added, quality trainer status is a preferred attribute. I guess you would agree that it is a very vague description, and it is quite difficult to show this up in a consultant interview, but as seen in the 3rd and 4th competences, you may be aware that element of leadership could be recognized, and it is important as an X-ray consultant. As I'm both the COC chairman and a deputy XCE, I have to sit in consultant promotion interview boards from time to time for both EM and other specialties. For certain small subspecialties, although it is not common nowadays, it is possible that a candidate can get a post based on his personal or functional competences. But for A&E, certainly it is not the case. But most important of all, your daily performance and track records are the most important consideration in a promotion. Of course, if you are going to promote in the same department, it is easier for the board to assess your daily performance. But as the EM circle in Hong Kong is very small, your performance will be known to the panel, even if you are interviewing for posts of another department. And the second observation by me is we need a fellow with good clinical competence and professional excellence, but above a certain level is okay. There's many times there's no need for super specialists to be designated for consultant posts. Of course, during the assessment, the leadership skills is a very important consideration. And lastly, interview skills and presentability, of course, for a candidate can't be too bad. So much so for the situation in X-ray. Let's move on to some basic questions on leadership. In the next few minutes, I would like to take you to think about a few basic questions together. First, why do you want to be a leader? Second, can one be trained by training to be a leader? And thirdly, is time makes hero 時勢做英雄 or 英雄做時勢? So the first question, why do you want to be a leader? I want all of you to think about it, and certainly you should not just act for your own benefit and for your own promotion. 毋忘初心. To be a leader should be for a bigger good or to give more contributions to a team or organizations. I can reassure you that with time, if you are acting just for personal benefit, 路遙知馬力, people can feel that your heart is not pure and you cannot hide it. And we should aim at achieving a team target. At appropriate time, you may consider yourself suitable, or when you receive a mission call, you take up more responsibility. Of course, mission call can be from the bottom of your heart, but more commonly would be from your seniors and sometimes from your colleagues. So many a time we will act as team player and sometimes will act as team leader. Actually, in daily life, no matter in your workplace, in your family, a leader is not a permanent identity. So depending on one's role and responsibility, one would act as team player or team leader in different situations and according to the need. It is extremely rare that a person always assume a leadership role. Even for our CE, when he is working together with other government departments and officials under the leadership, say our Hong Kong SAR Chief Executive, he has to play a team player role. On the contrary, a resident during a night shift, he would assume a leadership role in a resuscitation. So, for development purpose, it is easier for one to start off as a team player, and then after the accumulation of experience and training, he can make a jump and become a team leader if he is given the chance. Secondly, it is seldom for a bad team player to become a good team leader or even become a leader, because a team leader is appointed by the team members and of course the more senior people. As an outside manager would be an additional challenge. You need more experience and more training to lead a new team. So I show these photos. You not all know him, Cristiano Ronaldo. Is to ask you a question. Can one who performs very well as a team player always become a great leader? With no disrespect to Ronaldo and his fans, I just call him as an example. No one will challenge his skills, passion, and professionalism. He's a superstar in football. However, according to my own personal observations, he has been showing a lot of negative body languages to his teammates when the performance of teammates or the teammates does not pass the ball to him, which I think he may not be able to control conscientiously. But this may contribute to the persistent, unstable performance of his team, Manchester United. So it may not be fair to compare Ronaldo and Klopp, but this picture would tell the difference. The next questions would be, can one be trained to be a trainer? The answer is yes or no. Take for example, a training for resuscitation or trauma resuscitation. It is definitely needed, and no one can assume a trauma team leader without the ATRS training. But for leadership, training is only as water for plant, soil, sunshine, seed quality are all important elements for good leaders. So the word grooming should be the better word for development of leadership. HA do provides leadership training opportunities like the Management 101, 202, 303, topic-specific program, and the HA Executive Leadership Program. I'm sure many of the audience here have attended some of these courses. I have attended some of them, not sure I have attended most. Though I have enjoyed it a lot during the participation, I must admit I have forgotten most of the content that I have taught. For example, I can never quote all the 7 habits of highly effective people. But I think it doesn't matter. Perhaps the most valuable thing is for us to attend this course, to take home, is the chance to meet the great leaders and strengthen your network. You may recognize the faces of Professor E.K. Yeo, Professor Feng Hong, Dr. He Xiuwei. They are giants of healthcare leadership. And also from your classmates, you can extend your network and get good ideas during your interaction and discussion. Going back to leadership training, if training alone cannot groom a good leader, what are the others? So I would suggest, other than training, the practice and reflections are the most important. With leadership practice, if you can get the job done well, chances will be given to you to move on further. This is 英雄做時勢. And with practice, you will get the challenges, you face the difficulties and get the feedback, experience accumulated. Among these, reflection is the most important. During your daily work, leadership practice, only with reflection you can keep on improving yourself. So the next question I would like you to consider would be, what are the most important elements of a good leader? There are many important elements, but no one can have them all. And below are my personal picks of important elements of a good leader, which include integrity, which is the quality of being honest and having strong moral principle. Only with integrity one can be the role models for others. Dedication, obvious. Collaborating. With a collaborating attitude, people will like to work with you, work for you, or talk to you. I can see some people when they hear certain suggestions that appears to be not very appealing, they shut down. They shut down the conversation, which would be very dangerous, and people would not like to make suggestions to you in future anymore. Of course, a good leader need to be forward thinking, and affinity I would consider very important, which is 親和力. It is not easy to learn or build up, but if you have this quality, it would be very nice. I show this photo again, and it is self-explanatory for affinity. On the other hand, what's the greatest hurdle to prevent you from becoming a good leader? Guess what? Your personal character. Why? Because it is most difficult to change. Again, this is my personal observation after working for so many years and seeing the success and failure of so many people. Of course, you can agree or disagree with me. 性格決定命運. Is it true? I'm not sure. So, if you think that your personal characters prevent you from being a good leader, here is my 2 cents. It is your own decision to make no change, small change, or big change. But it will be difficult, but not impossible. It takes time and effort. And there is no right or wrong answer, because sometimes really it is very difficult to change. And if you are considering not going to change, you may adjust your expectations. And another option is that you may optimize your strong side to overshadow your own deficit. But if your deficit is so big, it can damage your leadership journey. Lastly, I would like to share my leadership journey and some tips for you. Surely you will have your own leadership journey. We may share similarity, but certainly it will not be the same between two persons. I'm a sports fan. I'm happy to share with you my longest team leadership post. It's actually as a captain for several soccer teams, more than 20 years. And I'm also the team captains of my sports association. And if there are parents in the audience, I highly recommend you to allow your children to play some team sports. By being in a team, we can make good friends, all ranks and backgrounds, trained for a common target, and enjoys the success and failure together. And try to reach out and extend your connection. You will get more sources of help if you know more people. But beware, this kind of networking should be the byproducts instead of your ends. This is and 無忘初心. You join these activities because you love these organizations and you want to contribute. For online events, they are not accommodating to networking. However, now it is a compromise. And if allowed, we should resume physical attendance of certain functions as far as possible. Some more tips for you. During your daily work, you should get your job done well and be helpful to your colleagues and your seniors. You can always learn from your bosses. Many people dislike their bosses, but based on my experience, they should have something for you to learn, at least, because after all, they have their own skills or talents so that they can become your seniors. And remember, what you have promised is very important if you are going up to a more senior position, especially to your subordinates, and especially during you are busy. For your subordinates, if they requested something from you and then you forgot, you will lose their confidence or their trust on you. So again, chances will be given to those who, in our situation, actual situation, who have good track record. So crisis management. These photos are taken during the worst time of the fifth wave in the Queen Mary Hospital A&E. Crisis management is unavoidable if you work long enough in a leadership role. I will consider this is an exit examination on our leadership capacity, but it's also a workplace-based assessment because after going through this journey, we can further refine our skills, and provided you have done the self-reflection and try to make improvement on you. For associate consultants in the audience, you may need to ask, what was your leadership role during the fifth wave? Have you taken some steps to help your department to handle this crisis? This is your track record. My last suggestion is to spare some me time for yourself. Although I like to play team sports much more than jogging, I still have to find some time to do it. Because with this me time, a lot of solutions or idea, forward thinking, can be generated. When I was running alone, even during the fifth wave, I was super busy. I still do jogging. First, to keep my health, and I need the time to empty my mind and let an idea flow. You may find your ways to keep your me time, like reading, listening to music, doing yoga. It's up to personal preference. So I have shared some of my journey and experience. Hope that it can trigger your thought on developing your leadership. And this is the end of my presentation. I will pass back the stage to the chairman.
Thank you, Dr. Chui, for your very insightful overview. And there's a lot of reflections that we have to do on our own journey in the emergency medicine field and beyond. I think we have time for one question. So if there's any questions, please do type them in the chat box. But in the meantime, maybe I can ask Dr. Choi, you have leadership role in many different capacities. So in your team sports, in your department, in your hospital, and the college as well. Can I ask, throughout the different types of leadership, is there any differences that you think would be important when you lead different teams? Maybe can you share a little bit more about that?
So thank you for your questions. Actually, in leading different teams, there are some small differences, but the main elements and the key elements for a good leader would be similar. So I have picked up the 5 most important elements for a good team leader. It is my personal choice. And another most important thing to do is to build up a very good relationship with your team members and trust them. And sometimes if you have a lot of work to do, you need to delegate. Once you delegate your work to them, leave them some chance to perform themselves. I'm not those kind of helicopter parents, so I would keep an eye, but I would leave them the room to perform themselves, to establish their track record.
Thank you very much, Dr. Choi. I think we have a lot of good learning and deep reflection points for us to move ahead as we go along the day.